So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the S Factor. The S Factor is here to talk and deliberate and discuss with like minded individuals, thought leaders, and key influencers in society because we believe, as influencers of positive change and responsible citizens, we believe it is very important to communicate and create an awareness of the recent trends in the industry and also to deliberate with like minded influencers. Because in a time when there's a lot of upheavals in society and changes, this is where you can make a difference. So, whatever you say today on the S Factor just is not just for you all or for us, but it goes out to the academia, educational institutions, corporate houses, big brands, and most importantly, our students and adults and the generation so that they can learn, they can tune in, and they can listen and come back to us because they would know that they are following the right people in society. So, without further ado, let me also introduce my co host, Shekhar Vijayan. He needs no introduction, world famous celebrity and entertainer. He is also a professional MC and a moderator, and he's very passionate about his little dog Sunshine, who brings a lot of sunshine to S Factor as well. So, Shekhar, I would like to start with you and ask you to introduce our special guest for the evening, and then we can take it further from here. Over to you,
Thank you.
Shekhar.
Thank you so much, Samira. It's so nice to hear from you. And like Samira just said, I think this particular show today is the fifth episode, and we have interviewed some very very interesting thought leaders, like-minded entrepreneurs, uh, people who have been outliers in more ways than one. And it gives me great privilege, and we're really honored to have two interesting people on our show today. But before we start, I would like all of you to be on mute mode because this is going to be a very interesting discussion, and we would want our two guests to speak as much as they can based on the questions we ask them. We're going to make it very interesting, very engaging, and very inspiring. That's the entire outcome of this discussion. Today's discussion is about real world versus real world, and we've got, like I said earlier, or like Samira just mentioned, is OTT a true reflection of India? So today we'll get to know the verdict, hopefully in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. And I would like to introduce you to a very important person who I had met at a book launch, at a poetry launch. That is Mr. Prakash Belawadi. He's an Indian theatre, film, television, and media personality. He's a teacher, activist, and journalist from Bangalore. Mr. Belawadi has participated in many seminars, conferences, and festivals in India and abroad. He's been a motivational speaker at events and TEDx conferences. And there is one particular TEDx which I would recommend all of you should watch, which is about the future. And it's so relevant in today's day and age. Mr. Belawadi has actually spoken about something which speaks about uh, whether human lives matter or not. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's Mr. Prakash Belawadi for you. If it was a live atmosphere, we would all be clapping for him, but please show your appreciation using the emoticons you have around you. Samira, over to you.
So, thank you, Shekhar. And it is really a proud privilege to have Mr. Prakash Belawadi with us today, a very enterprising personality. We also have another key celebrity, Dr. King Mohan. And from what I have seen of him, extremely positive, a self-made entrepreneur, excellent positive vibes, and someone who you can count on for all support. With a career spanning over 100 films across various industries, Dr. King Mohan is an Indian film actor known for playing supporting roles in Tamil, Malayalam, and Kannada films, including quite a few films. I'm so sorry I cannot pronounce the names. For example, Oru Modal, Oru Kadal, or Manikya, Savari, Ambrisha, Hagada, Kone, End of the Rope, Siddhartha, and Mr. Iravata, and Kannada Kagi Ondanu Oti. Well, I've spent some time practicing that. In
Samira, the
addition,
fact that you managed to keep a smile throughout that speaks for itself.
I'm trying. In addition to that, he has also been featured on so many commercial ads like the IPL of 2014, Indigo Nation, Apollo Hospital, Everest Pullyo Grey, and also HDFC Bank, and so many more television serials as well. So, before I continue, the crux of today's discussion is, we need to ask these like minded influences, Mr. Prakash Belwadi and Dr. King Mohan, and find out what inspires them, what leads them to their thoughts. So, a warm welcome to you both, and over to you, Shekhar.
Thank you, Samira. So before I start, uh, you know, uh, we should also let everybody know that this pandemic has touched us in more ways than one. And there's been a silver lining in the cloud, I would say, with what's happened around us in terms of the kind of creativity you see around you. But there has also been a lot of death. There's also been a lot of turmoil. So uh, all our gratitude, all our condolences to anyone here who would have lost their loved ones, because I believe in this pandemic, every family has lost somebody very close to them. And we want to start on that solemn note, and also want to talk to both Mr. Prakash and Mr. and Dr. King. And I think of Dr. King, it reminds me of the word Elvis Presley, like, or the man from boxing, Mr. Larry King, or from Saturday Night Fever. So, but on a more serious note, I wanted to ask both Mr. Prakash and both Mr. King, what do you think is the future of cinema in the post-pandemic world? Like, any one of you could start.
Let Prakash start. He is a very senior to us.
Hi. Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Shekhar, for that warm introduction. I had forgotten how I had met you. I kept thinking, what is my connect with him? Thank you for reminding me. The thing is, that is a question we've been asking ourselves, at least in India, ever since we got color television. Because till color television came, followed later, 10 years later with private television, there was this tremendous worry in India that cinema would suffer. And cinema underwent some major changes, and some of them were really funny changes. I'll give you an example. For instance, the 1 to 2.33 or 2.35 ratio in CinemaScope came to beat television technology of that time, because you couldn't watch films in full, if they were with anamorphic expansion, and the TV sets would have had to compress it to actually show it, and then you'd get black things at the top and bottom, and that annoyed everybody. Till engineers came up with this 16:9 ratio, and in fact a reverse process seems to have happened now over these years, where cinema is being made so that it can be viewed on television screens as well. So there was some worry even that time. And later you would have seen international cinema going for 3D, or going into stories that were filmed outdoor a lot with very big venues, so that it doesn't look so great on TV. But TV technology, or the home's viewing technology, has improved over these years. And there is certainly now a great threat to cinema as we know it. So if I may say this, what is the unique quality that cinema has that home viewing still doesn't have? At best, if it's a well-adjusted home, if people don't have television sets in their separate rooms, which happens most often in our families, if they're able to come and sit together and view stuff, which is not just cricket match or the odd big OTT film, then maybe you get some community viewing inside a home. That is at least the home community of 4-5 people. But the great thing that cinema offers is this, what you call collective viewing, and a collective experience of something. And I think that is unmatched, and that remains sacred for the simple reason that in a performance, for instance, the actors have to bring their bodies to the venue for every performance. And in a live sports event, all the players must bring their bodies to the event for every performance, and the audience must come to the venue for every performance. So a moment of sacred participation happens where the experience is created in that same time space. That is the unique thing I would say that partly cinema offers because it's a recorded medium. But I think there's a great threat to cinema. And my prediction is that in the next 5 years, if maybe 10 at the best, you will not have this idea of film production that we have at the moment. It'll change dramatically. I think the future of cinema is threatened, but I don't think the future of cinema viewership is threatened. I think what will happen will be a modal shift to a different technological platform to view it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I'm sure doctor has got another perspective to it. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you see what happens next to cinema after this pandemic, everybody has a question that theaters will be closed, only OTT will function. No, it's not going to be a scenario like that, because people had similar questions when television came. What will happen to radio? But smartly, radio still exists and still conveys the message in its own fashion, and people have not missed out on radio. Even cinema, what has happened now is that, like, if you observe from past 2 years after the entry of Amazon and Netflix on ZEE5 or anybody else, there is a shift from community viewing to personalized viewing. What happens here is, like, people were watching along with a lot of a group of people in cinemas, but here they're getting an opportunity to have an individual experience when it comes to OTT. So that way, there is a shift, but it is not an end to cinemas on public screening. Individual theaters have gone now almost nil, we can say. Very few are available in a few tier 1 cities. But if you see the urban population, they still have an option to view it in multiplexes and in other locations. But overall, if you have to take a decision whether cinema in theaters are going to end, no, it may not end. There is life for it, but OTT is going to make a major impact on cinemas.
Thank you, sir. So you gave a very different perspective on that altogether. I think it's more individual right now because
yeah,
the viewing experience, just like what we're doing right now on Zoom. Thank you. Thank you for giving us two different perspectives, but the same thought process. Yeah.
So coming to this, keeping in mind the current situation and, the lockdown will have its impact on society. It's not like, when things open up, all people are going to rush out. People are still going to take care. So do you think this really breaks the glass ceiling? Does it still break barriers? Does it break the threshold? Can we see a difference when it comes to innovation, creativity in the OTT space moving forward? What do you feel are future trends? Prakash, I think you're
Prakash
on.
is muted.
Should I go first?
Please, please.
Yeah, please.
See, Samira, there are maybe 40 or 45 OTT platforms available already in India. And the key shift has come because there has been when I say modal shift, why it's important is that it is becoming subscription based. Just as cinema viewing in a hall was subscription based. You have to buy a ticket to go inside a hall. You have to buy to watch a movie. Television is somewhat indirect. It's very advertising revenue dependent, not direct, viewing of content dependent. Like people are not actually paying for content, or they think they're not paying for content, but they are paying for it indirectly. But OTT, you pay directly for content. even if it's lumped together sometimes and all that, we know that it is some odd film or the other that is driving the very large viewership, just like IPL would drive very large viewership for a TV channel. But the thing here is you must look at the numbers. See, the OTT platform in 2020 grew by nearly 50% in terms of revenue. I mean, that is huge. It grew by 50%. That means, like, if I have to put those in more concrete numbers, it claims now about 30 million individual subscribers who actually collectively pay for some 55 million subscriptions, because a single family or a person may have multiple subscription options, across platforms. So we have already 55 million. In a country of maybe 140 million, 55 million doesn't look very big. But you see, that is the advertising chunk that is moved to OTT platforms. Those are the people who pay for the big advertising, who pay for the big brands, where the advertising happens. So the thing is, that is the modal shift that you'll worry about. Now, what television, which is not really dependent on people paying for content, but on viewership numbers, will begin to suffer simply because this population. See, I'll give you an example of English TV channels. If you see their viewership, it is in like 1 to 1,000 or even less viewership that a general language channel in India will have, whether it is Tamil or even Kannada, or it's definitely Hindi. But how do they get advertising? Simply because it is assumed that English-speaking people will have higher income and they can pay more for brands and more expensive products. So I'm saying these are boring numbers, but this is what is going to dictate how film production is made. If I may take another couple of minutes, I want to see something else. I will just touch upon it. If it interests you or Shekhar, you can ask me further questions. You see, the era of big stars, or whom we call matinee idols, say a Dr. Rajkumar or a Vishnuvardhan or Ambarish or MGR or a Shivaji or Rajinikanth or Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna, that era is already going as you watch, simply because I have this notion that the larger than life thing cinema gave one, that to be watching cinema in halls where you have a crowd actually iconizing these images that they see on the screen, that's gone already because of home viewing and television. These people are demythicized in many ways. So I don't think it'll be so easy for a television star to contest elections like it was, for instance, for a film star. I think that era, the end of that era is going to be hastened by these OTT platforms and other technologies that will come. Today you have integration of signals with content becoming in bits and bytes. But that is going to change. You'll have integration of viewing screens. Tomorrow you will do a telephone conversation, watching your movie, watching news, and talking to your friend or family on Skype, whether they're in India or abroad or in another home. I mean, given the pandemic situation, where I had COVID and I had to talk to my family in the same house on WhatsApp, simply because I was home isolating. So I think you will have a ubiquitous. You probably will build homes with screens now, and that's how they'll watch, and that is going to change how content is made. I want you to keep that in mind, because that's the thing that interests me the most. You will change the way you write scripts, I'm saying. So think about that.
Great. I think those are very valuable insights presented, Prakash.
I agree with what Prakash said.
Yes.
If you see the OTT,
Mohan,
yeah. See, now what OTT has done to India is that, like, it has entered not only tier 1 cities, it has entered tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. And the package what they are offering is more attractive. If at all, if you want to go to a theater with the family, you will spend close to 2,000 rupees, including snacks or soft drinks or whatever it is. But if you have that subscription of, now they've brought down to 599, 699 per year, you get to see almost the latest movies very easily. See, they have packaged it well. Now, the theater owners or the producers who want to release the movies in theaters, they need to think of packaging it if they want to retain it. Now, what Amazon does, it's not only offering movies, it also says, we'll give you free delivery of products. It gives you more packages. You can watch it in your mobile as well as television or in your iPad. So these multiple options are giving more of a convenience. And you can see the age group of 15 to 30, they're more inclined towards personalized viewing experiences. That is overtaking the community viewing experience. You might have seen that even in villages they have started using this Amazon, Netflix, Z5 or anything else. But what is a constraint? They have streamlined themselves that the content has to be an international content. Generally, they're not giving preference to a local content. This difference would also limit them as of now. But over a period of time, they will open up regarding the content. So if you are very particular about this is the content I want to see, this is what I want to experience, OTT is giving it to you right in your place, right at your comfort, right at your time. So this shift is making the others platforms a little miserable. So OTT is generally on a verge to take over from that particular shift to personalized viewing shift. So this makes a lot of difference in the coming days. Right now, as Prakash said, we might have 40 OTT channels, but when you have 100 or more than that, you have a lot of choice. But only constraint is the subscription for each OTT channel. In a family, you have 4 people. All the 4 might have different preferences. They want to subscribe it to different OTT channels. That becomes a pain, that becomes an additional complication, all those things. But general viewing on television, it's much easier. It's just one subscription and you watch thousands of channels. But what makes the difference is the content relevant to you to give that experience. OTT is primarily offering that content now, so it's surviving. It can't be generic. It has to be specific and it has to catch up the momentum to make it interesting. This is where the pros and cons of OTT.
Thank you, sir. You know, you're talking, both of you are talking so passionately about cinema and OTT and everything around it. Now we want to take some questions from the audience. Samira, if we may, so that we get the audience also involved in this, because I think everybody's been listening in. So if anybody has any questions in the audience, you could come on the video mode. You could ask a question, and if you have a prize, we'll give you after the lockdown gets over. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask these 2 wonderful poems of Indian cinema. And you could ask a question right now on this particular talk show. If you have any questions on OTT, any questions on cinema, anything.
I have a question. Hi, Nisha here.
Sounds
Hi,
familiar.
can you hear me?
Go ahead.
So thank you so much for your deep insights. I think it's really interesting. My question is specifically to kind of compare the content that we've been seeing. The quality of the content has really been challenged tremendously, like leaps and bounds, because there's so much regional content that we get to see now. We get to pick and understand. Language is no longer a barrier for us. Like I can sit and watch a Spanish series or Tamil short films or Malayalam movies or Kannada, Telugu, Bengali stuff without having to only rely on, say, reading subtitles or this ability to even change the audio. So but just to kind of we've lived under the shadow of the Bollywood being like a mainstream content provider for entertainment, and that's been, I think, seriously challenged now with a lot of regional stuff. So in the last 12 to 14 months, we've hardly seen any big smash hits that we are used to, or we thought we were used to. So how do you think these so-called mainstreams would have to adapt to kind of compete with such regional content that's coming out? Either of you could take that question, Mr. Prakash or Dr.
So King Mohan, I will let you answer that. If I have a thought, I'll add to it.
I missed on your question. Can you come back again? Can you come back on your question again?
Sure. So I'm saying the quality of content that we are getting is now very severely challenged by regional content as well, right? Like you see tons of Malayalam movies being released. I sit and watch Spanish series, which are like really big hits. Language is no longer a barrier. Earlier, we used to consider Bollywood being mainstream of entertainment for us. So how do you think Bollywood now has to adapt? Because we've hardly seen some one or two big smash hits that come from, in the last 12 to 14 months from Bollywood.
And I think just to add to what
You're
he's
right.
saying, is Bollywood really competition here? That's more important.
Okay. See, now with the advent of this OTT, we are in a position to clearly challenge that content is supreme, whether it is any language. Your content and if your presentation is best, it will be accepted. So Bollywood has to be innovative to match. It's not only Bollywood; it can be any other language cinema also. It's not going to be easy any longer to showcase something. What can be viewed for 2.5 hours can be and can be decided. So they have to be on their toes to give you the relevant content to make it attractive and interesting. See here in cinema, they were trying to wrap up everything, whatever they want to convey within 2 hours, 15 minutes or 2 hours, 30 minutes. But in OTT, the content gets that freedom to really convey what they want to convey in the 15 hours or 20 hours duration. Sometimes I have watched most of the web series at one shot. So that is the interesting point is the content. So if OTT has got the extra freedom to exhibit that content and present it in a nice way, definitely like any other movie maker, for any other movie maker, it will be a challenge to condense everything and present it in 2 hours, 15 minutes. So it's not going to be easy any longer because the audience, the taste has changed, the demand has changed.
Absolutely.
The viewer is actually deciding what he wants to see, and it's not just what the stars offer. You might have a lot of star movies coming on OTT now. You would have seen few Tamil movies came on OTT, and Radhe also came on OTT. So if you say, if Radhe was released on big screens, will it be a hit? Or just because it was released on OTT, it was a flop? If you notice that on big screens, you have small budget movie viewers watching movies and giving that huge success to him within a week's time. The reach is much faster. But on OTT, we will see that the urban, educated, thinking viewer trying to watch that movie and analyzing. You have a lot of analysis which comes in before the movie release or just immediately after the movie release, which influences the next viewer to watch it. So here, if you can notice, what is differentiating is the content. The same content, rather, if it was released in cinema, it would have been a hit. I can think so. The same content, rather, was released on OTT and it was not accepted. Sorry, I'm making an example out of it and not making a statement out of it. So this is what my opinion is.
This is a great insight here. We have another question here.
I think Prakash sir wanted to answer that. I think so.
See, Nisha, it's true that most analysts around the world would agree with you. Definitely in India, we will agree that OTT seems to be providing a fairer a more equitable playing ground for regional languages. In fact, most analysts agree with you that actually there is a great scope for regional films with good content, as King Mohan has been saying, to actually come and compete or stand on equal footing with the kind of work that you've been seeing from, say, Spain or Denmark or Canada. But I want to alert everyone to something that I have been really worried about. Is there an equitable playing field from the production side? I'll give you an example. See, supposing Silsila were made today by the same Yash Chopra, were he alive? I don't think he would have said that Jaya Bachchan goes back to her safe,
Correct.
secure married life with that one character, and Rekha goes back to the character that Sanjeev Kumar was playing. Because that was to cater to an ethos that would not have accepted another kind of ending. Whereas OTT platform, simply because of an ethos that can actually support it with subscription money, which can be quite substantial. If 30 million viewers, or say 20 million viewers will pay for watching Silsila, then he can take a risk because he believes that ethos is somewhat culturally different, and they're really willing to take, because they've had exposure to Western films, they'll be willing to take such an ending. He will probably change that story. And even if you make the entry level very easy with money, like OTTs have been doing, they're doing a very clever thing. For instance, everybody at my home watched IPL on an OTT platform. They didn't actually go to any TV channel. So they are doing all these clever things, and it does provide a equitable platform for the viewer. But I will say, if a television channel, forget by his own choice, a director like Yash Chopra making that ending, but if a television series dared to show stuff that was disturbing to the ethos, forget the government interfering as they are doing with OTT platforms. If you must know that the government is leaning very heavily on OTT platforms. They're trying to see if there's some legal way they can control them. But actually, there is a very unfair thing on TV serials, which are subjected to very heavy censorship socially, and films that are directly and subjected to censorship by the CBFC, which is an archaic government mechanism. So I'm saying there is no level playing field from the production side. And I think these are the issues that will play out in the next couple of years, because there will be challenges legally, there'll be challenges socially, there'll also be internal discussions. And I think the industry will have to come to terms with some kind of compromise and agreement where a better equitable arrangement can be made. Right now, it is completely unfair that you can show anything on the OTT platform. You can show sex education. Somebody showed me that, I was completely shocked. And you cannot dare to do something like that for TV or in films. So I think that is not a level playing field. So please bear that in mind. I'm saying these are things subject to discussion. I'm just giving my opinion at the moment. That's it.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you both of you.
Thank you. And Prakash sir and Dr. King, she's my wife. So these are the questions I deal with on a daily basis. Just letting you know. But thank you for answering these that she asked. And she's extremely passionate about films like we all are. And I think Samira has got something lined up for all three of us. Samira, all yours.
Yes, so I want to just play a game with you. I just want to have some fun. Are you ready for it? Shekhar, Prakash, Dr. King Mohan?
Always.
Yeah?
I usually lose all games, but I still play.
Okay, so we're going to put you on the hot seat, and I'm going to mention a word, and you're going to tell me, what does that mean to you? What's the first thing that comes on your mind? Are you ready? Yes? Okay. So
Okay.
can I have a thumbs up from all three of you, Shaker including you? I'm not going to leave you this time.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah. Lovely. Fantastic. So the first word that comes out is movies. Prakash?
It means childhood for me because those were the best times of viewing movies for me. And to go to a movie which we were allowed only twice a year was a really special event. And the larger than life story characters, because cinema always shows extreme situations: police station, hospitals, cliff edges, sea, jungle, space. So it was very special. So cinema is connected indelibly for me with my childhood.
Amazing. Dr. King Mohan, how about you?
Well, it's a live experience and an inspiration. The movies which I have seen in my childhood or during my teenagers, that's what prompted me to experience it in a better way by entering into it.
Okay.
I have watched movies, I have experienced the happiness, I've experienced uh, the feelings what it can generate in an individual. That has driven me to enter into movies and be part of movies. So what more it can do?
Fantastic. Shaker, over to you. Movies.
Movies means magic to me. As simple as that. I think movies means a rainbow of colors because movies not just black or white. There are plethora of colors, and when you look at movies, for me, it's magic.
I think that was a fantastic round one. I'm going to round two right now. What's your favorite food, Prakash?
I like South Indian food the most. Also like Indian Chinese food because I've gone around the world and I've tried to taste Chinese food. I
Yes,
mean, it's nothing like what we
me
do.
too.
I like Indian Chinese food, and I really like some types of continental food. Especially those from Italy.
Amazing. I resonate the same sentiments with you because when I went to Malaysia and asked for Chinese food, that was the last time I wanted to have it.
They would give it to Indian, I'm sure.
Yeah. Dr. King Mohan, what's your favorite food?
Well, I'm a foodie. Anything you offer me in veg, I will definitely have it. There is no restriction on what veg food I have. Any part of the world, as long as it is veg, yes, I go ahead.
Amazing, amazing. Shaker?
Anything made with eggs. I can be bright with eggs. You make anything with eggs, I'm your best friend.
You should try
Egg
my
delicious.
you should try my scrambled egg. Someday. Okay.
100%, sir. Post the lockdown.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. So I need to also ask you, since we are all about the OTT and movies, which is the favorite movie that you have watched till date, which you would recommend others to watch as well? This time I would like to,
Hamilton.
sorry,
Hamilton. Hamilton on
Hamilton.
OTT.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lovely. Dr. King Mohan?
Well, I wished it should have been my movie. Still, no, it is yet to come. But
Okay.
still, what I have watched, I want to say that that Tamil movie with Surya has acted Surari Putram,
Okay.
and where Prakash has played an important role also. I
Yes.
called up Prakash on that day and I congratulated him, saying that you've done a wonderful job.
Amazing.
So my relationship with Prakash goes from my college days, where he has done lighting for my first play. So that way, I keep following what all movies he does. The first time I saw on OTT platform that movie, I couldn't resist. I immediately called up Prakash. First time I missed his call. I couldn't reach him. I continuously tried until he picked up the call. And then I congratulated him.
Amazing.
So
Shaker?
that's the josh we go through.
Great, great. Shaker, how about you?
So, during this lockdown, we've been watching The Office,
Okay.
and this Office has got this very interesting character called Michael Scott, who I think was the funniest. He just took Office to another level, and I would recommend everybody to watch Office because it's funny. It's got dark humor, it's got satire, and it just in the times we're living in, at times we need a lot of humor around us. So I think The Office has been something which I've been watching and rewatching again. It's I totally enjoy it. I would recommend that always.
So the next
What
question,
about you, Samir? What about you?
movies?
Yes.
I think I like flavors, Shaker. So, you give me anything to watch, and all you need to do is make a recommendation. I would immediately go and watch it. I love flavor in my life. So, any genre, any type would be great. I have a very interesting question that I would like to personally know about you. And the question is, who has been your
Yeah,
inspiration to date? If there is one person who you would like to meet who has really inspired you in your life, and you feel you would love meeting them as well, who would that person be? Prakash?
Yeah, I think in my life, so many of them are dead. I would have loved to meet Neville Shute, the author. I would have loved to meet Alistair MacLean. I would have loved to meet Trumbo, who wrote Roman Holiday. Uh, and I really wanted to meet Gulzar in my life, but I did meet him. And he's the only actor with whom I've requested and taken a selfie. So now only film person, not actor, with whom I've taken a selfie. So the thing is, there are many people living and dead with whom I wouldn't say it's just one person. Fortunately, my life has afforded me an option to meet many people that I admire. Sam Petroda, for instance, he's my great hero. I've practically kind of worshipped him at one time. So I have met him. I've been very lucky. I've been photographed with him. So I have met many people that I wanted to meet. I met all the living Gnanpith people who were Gnanpith awardees who lived in my time, except Kuvempu and Gokak. I have met everybody else. So 4 of them have been personal friends. So I've been lucky in my life. But you're right, I can't meet everybody I want to meet. Sometimes you read a book or watch a film and say, I want to meet this guy, or this lady who made this, but you can't. I would have loved to meet Lucy I love Lucy.
Samira, you're on mute.
Shaker, tell me about you. Apart from me, who would you like to meet?
That's a good one. The flavors, like you say. So, Samira, like Sir said, in my profession, I've met and interacted with practically everybody.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
always wanted to meet Jeffrey Archer. I did a show with him a couple of times. I hosted his book launch. But if there's somebody I really want to meet who has been inspirational, I think I would want to meet Muhammad Ali. I think he was poetry in motion, and I think he was somebody who walked into another level altogether, and he was very, very charismatic. So somebody like Muhammad Ali would be something I would really want to meet and have dinner with.
Lovely, lovely. I think, these are the people who touch our hearts and touch our lives in various ways, and that makes a difference. Prakash, I would like to ask you one final question before the button moves on to Shaker. And my question to you is, if you had one opportunity, a platform to leave your legacy behind, what would you like the world to know you for?
I have never got down to writing seriously. I have written for movies, I've written for television, I've been a journalist for off and on for maybe 8 or 10 years. I've been a columnist, commentator, but I have never actually sat down and written anything that I want to really write about. I would like to write a trilogy on Bangalore, which is fictionalized, which covers, let us say, 50 or 60 years of Bangalore city as a 600-page each. And that it's Bangalore is who I am. And I want to be able to do something like that. That would be the legacy I would want to, have after I'm gone, if possible. But, it requires work, it requires imagination. I'm too lazy to do that, but I'll
Because
try to do.
I can be your
I never watch web series, Shaker. I never watch because because I feel I'll drink too much. If I'm start reading, I'll keep reading all the time. So I do excess. So I am terrified of web series because I think if I start to watch, I'll binge watch like all year. I'll just watch that, nothing else. So I've never watched. So I'm really scared that, to take up something because I'll get obsessed and I'll never leave it. But this is an obsession that it'll be worth having. I mean, my daughters are now both married, and my wife is really retired. We live happily in a flat, and my film career is not going to last forever. Although it's lasted, I've done nearly 60 films already. So, but I think,
Amazing.
I'm going to write, and I'm going to mix that with my theater work and my film work and my teaching work. That's too much already, but I need to do about 3 or 4 hours of writing every day. I've promised myself I'll do it. And now that I've made this public to you all, I maybe I have to do it. But that's what I would like to do, Samira. Sorry for the long answer.
No,
No, that's beautiful because that's what we all want to know and our viewers want to know as well. So really admirable, and I hope you come out with these books. And for all that you have done and contributed, I think it would only make a difference, a lasting difference. Yeah. Dr. King Mohan,
Yes,
yeah, over
some
to
issue
you.
with my internet. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. What is the legacy that you would like to leave behind? What would you like to be known for?
Simple. One of the finest actors which India has produced. I want to be one of them.
Amazing. Great.
Good.
And I think with this, Shekhar, over to you for the
Thanks,
next.
Samir. Thank you, sir. So, Prakash, sir, while you were talking about books, you got me thinking. Sir had acted in this movie called Madras Cafe, which was extremely good, very well researched. And everybody has been talking about Family Man season 1, season 2. So I want to know your thoughts about Family Man season 1, season 2. How did you find? Did you enjoy the experience? What is your take on it? On
I
Family Man?
have not watched Family Man. Okay. I've acted in 3 web series: Smoke, High, and what will come later this year, Mumbai Diaries, with Nikhil Advani directing it. I haven't watched, Smoke. I've seen only 1 episode. I haven't yet watched High. That's because I'm so scared to watch. So there is no question of my watching Family Man because I've not even acted in it. But someday I hope to watch all these. I'll tell you what I thought. What I think of it. So,
So, but I have to ask you this question. So, you've acted in Madras Cafe, you've acted with Akshay Kumar in a few films, and Akshay Kumar is obviously known for his unflinching health and temperament and everything around it, sir. Something which we all don't know about these actors, which you know, and you could tell all 20 of us. You could share a secret.
actors, big actors, surprising kind. I just give 4 or 5 instances from the top of my head. I may not cover every. When I acted a very small role in Sanju, a film I've not yet seen, I don't watch most of the films I act in. But when I went for this, for the first reading, Rajiv Rani was there, and Ranbir Kapoor and one who plays, Sanjeev Dutt's father, Paresh Rawal was there. Okay, and it was lunch break, and break the scenes that I was supposed to do, and it was suggested that we do a direct reading. We see Paresh Rawal. So when we started to read, Ranbir Kapoor just came there, sat down, and he said, "I will prompt." Now, you don't expect that from a big star, but that's what he did. I'll give you another example. When I acted in Madras Cafe, I believe, because it was sync sound, forget sync sound. I've had no Hindi whatsoever at that time. And I was terrified because I had made them promise that they will not change the script. Now, that was the condition on which I had agreed to act, because I never considered myself an actor. So when I went there, of course, it is Shujit Sarkar, on the spot, creative, so dynamic. He knows editing, he knows cinematography, he knows how to write a script, he knows how to direct, he knows how to act. He was changing it on the spot, and I was terrified. And in the first scene that I did with John Abraham, they said that they had to stop the shoot for about 25 minutes, which they told me only 3 or 4 years later, once I became kind of an established actor. They told me that my heart was beating so hard
Okay.
that the sound designer said that he cannot do a sync shot because my heart rate was too big and he wouldn't allow dub sound. So they stopped the shooting for 25 minutes to accommodate me, but they didn't tell me that my heart was beating so hard, because then I would have become even more nervous. The entire crew was so kind, for instance. And, John Abraham, you can't meet a kinder person. He's so down to earth. He's so easy. But I'll finish with a story that will really move you all and surprise you. I'd agreed to do a movie just because I was going to get a chance to act with, Mr. Bachchan, being directed by a very close friend, Bijoy Nambiar. So they called me for the shoot, and we were waiting for Wazir, it was, and we were waiting for Mr. Bachchan to come. We were shooting in Hotel Tulip, which is apparently his favorite shoot spot because it's close to his house, I guess. He came completely in character, talking like the character. And as he came in, wheeled into the set at 1:30, he said, Bijoy, I have to go at 9:30. Please bear that in mind. I have to leave at 9, he said. Please bear that in mind. So I heard that, and we shot that scene through the day. And it was a kind of longish scene. And when we finished, they were doing the close shots. They did it in 3 different dimensions. That is the new way of shooting, because it is digital medium. People don't worry about burning footage. Earlier, films were very expensive. Celluloid was expensive. Now, there's no raw stock. You can record over the thing. And anyway, it's very cheap, the digitally shooting. So, they do it in mid-range, then they do close, and they do the wide shot. And they were doing it from one side. And I'm sitting behind a desk, and, Mr. Bachchan is on the other side of the character. So by the time his portion finished, it was already 9 o'clock. And they had to do the lighting and setup for the reverse side, where he gives me the shots, the cues, and I will act. But I didn't mind doing it late, because somebody usually, if you do a Kannada film, the AD will sit there and give you the lines. And even if it's an over-the-shoulder shot, then somebody who will wear a jacket or a wig that the actor wears, and they sit and they give you from the edge. The actor himself, many times big actors don't do it. So I didn't expect Mr. Bachchan will sit. I was shocked when he sat there for the OSS, where only part of his ear and his shoulder is seen. He sat there and he gave me the lines. And I was completely surprised that he did that. And then it came to the close shot. Actually, he's not even required in the close shot, but he sat there and gave me the cue. But I fumbled with the line because I was nervous. I didn't know Hindi, and I fumbled with the line. But even then, the director said, okay. But I asked Mr. Bachchan, sir, I'm going to ask you a question. Please don't get annoyed. He said, what is it? I said, see, the director said, okay, but I'm not happy with the shot. But I know that you wanted to leave at 9. It's already 9:30, 9:35. But I want to do that again. So if you will permit me, I'm already grateful that you're sitting there and doing it. He said, nahi sir, aap aise nahi baat kar sakte. Main paas. See, you must remember that you're an actor. It's your right to demand, your scene. And if it takes 20 shots, don't worry about what appointment I have. I'll sit here and it's my duty to give you those lines. Don't worry about me, he said. It's like, that is why he's Amitabh Bachchan, unique, and he's like that. So big actors can surprise you, and actors who are not so big can prove to be real. I don't use a bad word. So that you can get experiences with big people all the time. But I can tell you that big actors can be very generous with great empathy. And maybe that is why they can be good actors, because they understand how to be with human beings.
Thank you, sir. You just took us to another story altogether, and I think that's wonderful storytelling. You spoke about so many important facets, which is basically what moves the world: empathy. I think the world needs more empathy. We've also got a question from Rohini De Silva. She has got this question for Dr. King. You could answer that.
Yeah,
How
Rohit,
does OTT help promote Indian culture and traditions and promote that to the rest of the world?
Well, yes, when in OTT, when you're searching for new content, new presentations, and you have a content representing a culture, and that is presented well. And in OTT, you definitely have an option to watch it in your own language. So that gives a personalized experience. It can be, any part of India, you can watch the different culture, what they have. And it can be any part of the world also. So in that way, like OTT gives a better scope than any other platform to actually explain what the individual culture of particular region wants to be displayed. So I feel it's a good platform to use that. And there will be a lot of good acceptance if it is widely publicized.
Thank you, sir. We've also got the young Mr. Rakesh. If you can unmute Rakesh, Rakesh, you could ask a question.
Uh, Hi, sir. Hi, Prakash sir. Hi, Dr. Mohan sir. Thank you so much for giving me some opportunity for that same. Actually, I am into same of web and mobile app developments. So we are also doing the OTT platform for our clients, and these days our most of queries are coming to develop and design the OTT platform for their platforms, and so they can get profits and other they can launch their own OTT platforms like that. Netflix and other things are coming. So the market, so we also made two OTT platforms for the clients. So I have a question here, like is OTT that is the suitable for the future?
Max?
See, technology is going to keep changing, and you people will continue to be very important as long as you're technologically connected. Content will always be important because somebody has to imagine and create these stories. I think the great challenge that everybody's facing now is actually the distribution challenge. Not that there's a difficulty in distributing. There's a very big question on how the money will be shared. It's an internal industry struggle which we try to portray as though it's a public struggle. The public is quite happy with all these changes. It's the industry that is fighting over who gets how much of that share. And that problem is going to continue. But two things are going to happen. One is, the question that was raised earlier by Nisha, I think, on how OTT platform will challenge our content. See, there's a question of diversity that that we need to think of when we look at India. There's no one India. The previous question was about Indian culture, for instance. However controversial it sounds like, there is no single Indian culture. If there's a unifying idea of Indian culture, I would say it's elections, cricket, and Indian popular cinema, maybe in that order. Populars, even in cinema, it's actually song that unites us more than the visual, I think, and maybe if there is war or something. And I feel the Indians don't imagine together anything unless something like this happens. We are very diverse, with multiple languages, multiple beliefs, multiple, even within a state, we have multiple sub cultures, dialectical, which are language, cuisine, practices, customs. There is no single, when you want to do a secular holiday, it's not just a national holiday. You can't find even a Hindu holiday because different Hindus have different sacred days, perhaps. Some people don't even celebrate some big festivals. So I think what OTT, if or you people can look at is whether you can create an opportunity for India's diversity to speak, because India cannot stay united without the diversity. Everybody is going talks as though the Indian unity accommodates diversity. It's completely the other way around. It's because we are such a multiplicity, a plurality of such cultures that we can actually tolerate each other or learn to accept each other. If we try to make one unified thing, if you do what the Chinese did and say Mandarin will be your language, I think India will break up. It's not going to work. And I think that facilitation for Indian plurality to speak, which may be a great revenue generator also, at a very specific local level, it may be very useful to imagine that way, I think. Sorry if I didn't answer your question correctly for you, but that's look at it. These are opportunities, and there's a flux. We are in the state of evolution now. There's not going to be stability soon. It's going to take some time.
So you didn't just answer his question, you answered everybody's question, I think, because it was very inspirational and you spoke for everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Prakash, sir. Thank you.
I just want to add one more point. I think Prakash didn't answer whether he has watched Family Man. He said he didn't watch Family Man 1 or 2 series.
Yeah.
In fact, I watched both the series. The best part, what I have observed is that it has given a new life to Manoj Bajpayee and the entire team. And the story is so good. Yeah. And if he was a struggling actor in Bollywood, he's a celebrity in OTT now. So that is a platform. There are a lot of actors in India who are looking out for good opportunities. And there are a lot of filmmakers who want their films to be released. Now, if you see, only a budget or a high budget movies are getting released in a year means, where are the other movies going out? But with the advent of this OTT, you can see that many people are getting opportunity to get into it. And many movies are getting released if the OTT platform expands a little further and has its own competition. So that way, it is transforming not only the lifestyle of an actor, even the filmmaker also is getting more opportunity. That way, Family Man has given the clue that, if you have the right content and the right presentation, it will definitely be accepted. And you don't have to squeeze the entire concept in 2 hours, 15 minutes or 2 hours, 30 minutes. You have the freedom, 15 hours or 16 hours, you can use that and convey whatever you want to convey. I had a similar problem with a filmmaker who had earlier done a movie about Veerappan. He had to condense the entire story to 2 hours, 15 minutes, and he could not convey most of the message. So he jumped onto the OTT platform and he started the same Veerappan story, explaining it in 15 to 18 hours. Somehow, now Veerappan's wife has put a case on it and they're sorting it out. But if it comes out, it will be a true, researched content, which everybody will come to know about what exactly happened with Veerappan. And most of them still on the print media or television media don't know about it. This is going to come out on OTT platform and it will be a shocker or it will be a controversy thing. See, what happens is nobody creates a content to make it controversial, but some contents are there. Once they are released on platforms like OTT, it will definitely become controversial. But if there is a healthy debate to really analyze it, it will be a good platform.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Very,
And
very often, if you want to say something that you really care about, it is going to be controversial. We must have a better culture of acceptance all around.
thank you, sir. And can I get all the participants to come on video? They've got a small activity right at the end. And before we do that, I'd like to thank all our people who are listening in right now. We'd like to thank our partners, that is EcoSoul Global. We've got Shevens Entertainment, Bhupalam Botanicals, Sasada Media. I am here. Sunshine Bakers, Elephant Marketing, ThreadWorks, Eat Raja, Chocolato, Enabler, Event Services, and Jagriti. And can I get everybody on video mode? We're going to do one small activity and then we finish. Samira, that's a nice backdrop you have.
Thank you. Thank you.
If everybody could come on video. So we're going to do this. We're going to take a short a boomerang video, if you like. And we're going to do something very simple, which both Prakash sir and Doctor would have experienced in their entire life, I'm sure, which is 3 simple words, which is lights, camera, and action. So we'll do lights, camera, and action, and we'll just say it out loud. We'll try to get that live atmosphere right here on this virtual platform. All right. Can you get everybody on video? All of you need to participate with me, otherwise I will end up looking like a fool. Everybody can come on video.
Good to see you, Diana, Anthony, Rakesh. Wonderful to see you and your videos as well. May I request others to join in for a quick moment? Lovely, lovely.
Well, Anthony Royan is there. Yes.
Amazing.
All right, so we'll do it at the count of 3.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, you just got to do it, lights, camera, action, that's it. 1, 2, and 3.
Lights,
Lights,
camera,
and
action.
That is the reason why we need OTT platforms. I'm just pulling everybody's leg. But thank you so much, Prakash sir. Thank you, Doctor. Thanks, Samira. Thank you, everybody who joined in today. It's been a wonderful discussion. It's been very inspirational. It's led us with a lot of messages. And if you get a chance, also please watch this video of Mr. Prakash's video on YouTube, which essentially talks about the future, which is so important in today's day and age. It's a TED talk which is done, and it's so relevant to what we are talking right now. And we also would like you to go ahead and like the YouTube page, like, share, and subscribe to the S Factor. And please share your comments there. And I hope all of you enjoyed this discussion. We have more such very interesting episodes coming your way soon.
so on behalf of all of us here, our humble thanks. And, do stay tuned, keep in touch, and we're going to have exciting thoughts coming in so that all of us can learn about the future of emerging trends and also resonating positive energy with the people we have on this show. So Prakash Melawade and Dr. King Mohan, our most humble thanks and appreciation for all the beautiful insights that you have shared today. It has really not just touched our hearts, but I should admit, touch our minds so that we can think about the future and also look at leadership and emerging trends in society. So thank you so much and stay tuned and look forward to following you closely for future initiatives. God bless you both and thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
All our lovely
Thank
viewers,
you.
a goodbye from Shekhar and I. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then there's silence.
Shekhar, just the two of us now.
Yeah. Hey, this backdrop should come on the screen.
Huh?
On the screen.
No, I was trying. So then what happens is we can't show them at the same time. That is
Exactly.
it.
So it's okay. It's good. The discussion went well. Technical.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Stop the video.
Recorded?